Hello everyone, I'm Lee Diffie and welcome to the 1997 TAC Australian Drag Nationals. Today you're going to see Australia's best drag racers fight it out in categories such as top fuel, top alcohol, top door slammer and a whole lot more. The action's going to be fantastic, so sit back, relax and I hope you enjoy the Australian Drag Nationals. A big crowd here at Calder Park in Melbourne on hand to witness this year's Drag Racing Nationals. It's great to see so many people turn out. And here is round one of the top fuel. Terry Sadie, only moments away from his first round confrontation. And it's going to be a big one. He is up against Graham Cowan.
Terry Sadie driving a car powered by a unique Australian-built top fuel engine. The engine has proved to have the capacity to go down the track, but so far this weekend they've been unable to get on top of the tuning.
Graham Cowan doing his burnout, a great on-board shot. The Shell Rocket, Graham Cowan, he's getting set. Up against Terry Sadie, he's been really pumped up for this year's Nationals. Sadie will be feeling a little bit nervous at the moment. Getting set.
Terry Sadie, of course, the number 8 qualifier, back on board the Shell Rocket. You see the crewman just checking something on the side of the supercharger there. But Graham Cowan, number 1 qualifier, the fastest man in Australia so far.
The crew just coming in, putting last-minute touches on the car, just making sure everything's right for this round one confrontation against Terry Sadie.
You'll notice here the crewman took the throttle stuff off the side of the supercharger. They actually limit the opening of the throttle in the burnout so they don't over-rev the engine. There's so much power in a top fuel engine. If you land on it too hard in a burnout, you'd literally destroy it before the start of the run.
We're getting set, we're not too far away, watch the lights. Sadie's into staging now, we're getting ready. Cowan's in as well, we're away, Sadie's blown it! Oh no, Terry Sadie didn't even get off the line. That is an easy round one victory for Graham Cowan.
Cowan goes through for the win with a 5.019 at 441 kilometres per hour and moves through to the semi-finals. Looking on replay now, you'll notice as soon as Sadie steps on the throttle, the car just explodes in fire. They've fought this problem all weekend and we're very lucky to get in the field. On the other hand, Cowan, a very strong run. You'll notice when he gets to the top end, just starts to drop the flames down, but he's off the throttle at 5.01 is a good opening round.
Well, Graham Cowan in the Shell Rocket straight through to the semi-final. Here's a high shot from behind. Bang! There goes Terry Sadie's car.
Sure does. In the meantime, Cowan's off with it. Up the top end, it starts to black track. You'll see the marks on the track. It's just turning the tyres that goes through. Looking at Sadie's engines, that's the end of the weekend. Now here we have a unique perspective. You're going to go on a run with Graham Cowan's car. Off the start line.
And away we go. You ride with Graham Cowan. Have a look at this. What a shot. Great pictures. Doing that pass there, Kevin, I just noticed one of the last pipes on the left, a little bit of smoke coming out. Something wrong there?
Yes, it is. The difficulty with a top fuel engine is actually keeping all of the cylinders alight, and they did have a problem there on the left-hand bank, and I'm sure that if they repair that for the next round and get the tuning combination right, they'll again pick up more performance.
Next up in round one of the top fuel, the American, the visitor. It's his 5th tour down under, Glenn Micros in the Santos Cranes entry. He's getting ready for his shot against Robin Kirby.
Kirby qualified in the number 7 position with a 5.52. Kirby, one of the most experienced top fuel racers in Australia. He's won international events, has travelled to Japan twice, and is a very consistent performer. Never the quickest in the field, but always there when it counts. Micros, on the other hand, a 4.95, qualified in number 2, currently leads the Australian Championship points chase and really would be one of the favourites to take out this event today.
Micros, all eyes on the American. Robin Kirby's going to try and do his best to upset the American driving for Santo Rapisada. Both of them would be hoping that Micros can take out the meeting today. There's Kirby, concentration on the face, getting set. Watch the lights, this is a great camera shot, they're away. Let's see how Micros goes. Kirby's run into some problems, and Glenn Micros will have an easy passage through to the semis as well.
Yes, Micros a 4.92. That improves on his qualifying performance, 473 kilometres an hour. They've moved up their performance. They've got good top-end speed there and a good run.
Let's take a look at the replay. Kirby on your left, Micros on your right. Kevin, what do you think the problems were here for Kirby?
Well, Kirby started to move across and actually shook the tyres, and what happens is the tuning is not right on it, and it violently shakes the rear of the car, had to shut down. Micros, on the other hand, a very clean run. Again, we see the marks on the track behind him, so he was still black tracking, so he's got a lot of horsepower there, and the car was just turning the tyres on the ground as it went across the top end.
So bad luck there for Robert Kirby, but good luck for Glenn Micros. We move along to our next one in round one, and it is Queensland's Roy Smith up against Jim Reed.
Roy Smith qualified with the Sainty engine car in the number 6 position. Jim Reed in number 3 with a 5.01.
11 times the winner of the Nationals. Jim Reed is set to try and do it again.
Of course, Reed has sat out of the championship so far this year. After winning the 1996 Australian Top Fuel Championship, he sat back and waited in terms of sponsorship, chasing, etc. But here he is running under Jim Reed Racing and looking to win the event.
Moving back, getting themselves ready.
Reed, of course, very, very experienced. Been a champion both in Top Fuel dragsters and also funny cars. Roy Smith, on the other hand, this is his first actual race since 1971, and for him to step straight into one of the modern Top Fuel drags is a very difficult thing for them to do. The Sainty engine car has done very well, qualified with a 5.29, which is a great performance, but I think for Roy Smith to drive around Jim Reed here, it's going to take a very big upset.
They're into stage now. Keep your eyes on the lights. We're only seconds away. Reed on your right, Smith on your left, and he smoked the tyres. That will give Jim Reed an easy pass through into the semi-finals.
Reed, another consistent performance, 5.02 at 467 kilometres per hour. A little bit off on top end speed there, but the ET is great. Roy Smith, on the other hand, stepped on the throttle and just got the tune-up wrong on the car there. They got too much clutch in it. As soon as he stood on the throttle, he's basically overpowered the grip that is available on the tyres, smoked the tyres, and his race is over. Reed, on the other hand, a nice, clean run. Again, you'll notice how much Top Fuel dragster moves around in the braking area. And remember, it's doing 400 kilometres per hour, so I guess it's entitled to.
Kevin, we've seen three bad runs now in that right-hand lane.
Well, that sometimes occurs. There's nothing sort of sinister about it. Sometimes you'll find that performances change during the event, and they're trying to step up the performance all the time, and it's a very fine line to be able to get the car down the track or not.
Rochelle Splatt, Australia's Queen of Speed. Here she is in the Valvoline entry. Part of the Gary Rogers Motorsport team. She is up against Darren DeFilippo, and this should be a good one.
Well, this is number 4 qualifier, which is Darren DeFilippo, and number 5, Rochelle Splatt. This will be a very, very close run. On paper, Rochelle has the performances. She's run 4 seconds. The DeFilippo team are generally consistent without being very fast. Their qualifying was good with a 5.16, but the experience that Rochelle has in that team is a very, very good, very tight combination. She's a very experienced driver, and she knows how to pedal a race car.
This is only round one. Keep that in mind. Round one for the Top Fuel dragsters. Rochelle Splatt, closest to screen, Darren DeFilippo, over on your right-hand side. They come into stage. This is a great shot from the Panasonic camera. We're away again. DeFilippo got away nicely, but so too did Rochelle Splatt, and she is going to go through to the semi-finals. Look at the team. They are wrapped. They are so happy with that effort. DeFilippo running into some problems.
Well, look, she's picked up a performance, a 4.93 at 4.77. They'd be very happy about that. They didn't break into the 4s in qualifying, but now when it really counts, they've got the performance. Off the start line, DeFilippo, a great reaction time. You'll notice he's actually out on Rochelle there, but again, strikes problems, shakes the tyres. Rochelle moves around on the track. She got very close to the edge, but an easy 4.93 moves her through to the semi-finals.
Well, that wraps up round one of Top Fuel action. We'll be back with the semis later on, but coming up right after this break, it is round one for Pro Stock and Top Alcohol. Stay with us here on your home of Motorsport, Network 10. 1997 TAC Drag Racing Nationals. We're getting ourselves set for round one of the Pro Stock. 13 entrants in this field. Unfortunately, only 8 through to round one. 5 non-qualifiers. And bad luck for Queensland's Tony Wedlock, a surprise non-qualifier.
Yes, he certainly is. Wedlock has led the pace in Australian Championship in Pro Stock for many years, and here he is outside the field. We've got 0.2 of a second covering the whole of the qualifying from number 1 through to number 8. Pro Stock very competitive in Australia, and literally 0.1 of a second make the difference between winning and losing.
Bruce Leak up against Joe Polito, round one of the Pro Stock. Polito on the right-hand side of your screen, Bruce Leak close. They come into stage this time round. Polito's in.
Polito making lead weight there off the start line, close together, but Polito pulled already 3 car lengths, and he's going to drive through for an easy win and advance to the semi-finals.
Joe Polito, a good run there, and he goes through a 7.944, 273 kilometres per hour. Joe Polito is straight through to the semis.
Pro Stock Eliminator is for sedan cars. They must retain the original roof. The body and guards are fiberglass, and they're a naturally aspirated engine, round about 320 to 340 cubic inches, producing about 600 horsepower. They have a manual shift transmission, which is what is known as a Lenko, a special racing transmission, 5 speeds, and they shift those 5 speeds in about half of the time it takes to go down to the quarter mile. So by half track, the car's in top gear, and they've moved that gear shift 5 times in the meantime.
An all-Queensland affair here. Kim Petterwood on left of screen. John O'Carney. Petterwood got away to a good start, but O'Carney looks good on the left hand, on the right-hand side, I should say. And John O'Carney is going to get there ahead of Kim Petterwood. Well, Petterwood's team, they say, oh, well, never mind, better luck next time. Here's the Bob Jane Team Arts replay.
Off the start line, O'Carney, a much better reaction by 0.07 of a second, and really that's the race. From there on in, their performances of both cars is almost identical, but O'Carney, a car and a half length off the start line, and the race is over.
We're getting close to 280 kilometres per hour. There it is. Very close finish, a car length, maybe even a little bit less. Well, here he is, Melbourne's very colourful Hans van Dyke, getting himself set for his round one meeting with Adelaide's Robert Quattrocchi.
Quattrocchi very quick on the lights, good performance from the Chev Beretta. Van Dyke, of course, driving the only Australian car in the field. The rest of them are American coupes, Buicks and Ford Probes and so forth. But Van Dyke has struck with the truly Australian product.
Van Dyke closest to screen. Quattrocchi on the other side. Keep your eyes on the lights. Quattrocchi is into stage, waiting for Van Dyke to come in.
Van Dyke's playing a game. This is part of Pro Stock. You'll notice he's holding them out because they have to physically get that car up to 8,000 revs in a very quick time.
Quattrocchi's got away to a great start. It looks like he's got it over Van Dyke, and he's certainly got it over him. Quite an easy win there for Robert Quattrocchi.
Quattrocchi having a bit of a moment in braking area there, getting a little out of line, but he's taken the win at 7.90, which is the low ET of the round so far.
Well, here again we see another all-Queensland affair. Rob Tucker up against Craig Haystead. A lot of good Pro Stock competitors coming out of Queensland, and in particular Brisbane as well.
Tucker qualifying in a number 3 position with a 7.94. Haystead in number 6 position.
Good to see another Ford in the field as well. Haystead with the Ford Thunderbird. The only other Ford in the field is Polito's Ford Probe. Coming back into position now, Rob Tucker. The door open, trying just to get a bit of ventilation in the car, get rid of the burnout smoke.
The burnout, of course, a vital part of drag racing. It cleans the tyres, it heats the tyres up. Drag racing is about traction. What the burnout does is maximise the traction to make sure the tyres are very sticky.
As they come into stage, let's see if they play the start line game once again. Haystead is already into stage right now. We're waiting for Tucker. You can hear Haystead's car. It's on the rev limiter. Here's the view from the Panasonic camera. They're away. Haystead got away to a terrific start, but here comes Rob Tucker. Look right of screen. Tucker has got the edge in this one, and Rob Tucker will go through to the semis.
Yes, Tucker, more horsepower over the top end, and he runs through for a win with 7.93 at 273 kilometres per hour.
That wraps up round one of Pro Stock. We're getting ourselves set now. Round one for top alcohol. Here's Steve Harker.
Steve Harker driving a funny car. Top Alcohol contains 3 different types of vehicle. The funny car you see on screen now, dragsters and altereds. All are powered by supercharged methanol or alcohol burning engines, generally producing around 2,500 horsepower. Big burnouts from both cars. These are like junior top fuel dragsters. They don't have the nitro, but they still produce a lot of tyre smoke and a lot of speed from the cars.
And Kevin, for the people who have never been to the drags, they're obviously very different looking cars. Is it a fair comparison? Are they equally matched?
Yes, they are. The funny cars are heavier in weight. They also have a bigger engine, but they're balanced. The performances are balanced by engine size and weight of the vehicle. So in the case of the funny car there, that's got a 540 cubic inch engine, and the dragsters usually run around about a 400 cubic inch engine. So their performance work out very, very closely, and Top Alcohol in Australia, very, very close racing.
Brew into stage now. Oh, we're away. Let's see who gets the jump. Brew in the dragster, closest to screen. Harker looks like he's got some problems. Mark Brew. Whoa, that was close. And look at the team. They're pretty happy about that. Mark Brew from Queensland will go through. The car on screen at the moment will not. That is Steve Harker. He misses out.
A 587 for Brew there. On replay, you'll notice Harker got out on him. A very good hole shot. Brew's with him to half track, and generally the dragsters are quicker over the first quarter mile, especially small block powered like this. But fortunately for Brew, Harker struck problems in the engine department there looking at the smoke, and Brew just got through at the top end to take the win.
Well, Brew will be happy with that. Hard luck for Steve Harker. That's one of the closest races that we've seen.
Now we see an all dragster battle here. Defending Australian champion Gary Phillips up against South Australia's Scott Ferguson. Phillips has really been a champion in Top Alcohol for many years. In the early days he ran an alcohol funny car, and then 3 years ago transferred to the dragster. Australian champion last year. Scott Ferguson, on the other hand, a new addition to the Top Alcohol field.
See how the 2 dragsters go. Only moments away from the start. Can the defending champ do it in round 1?
Again, these cars have a normal clutch pedal arrangement and a Lenco transmission, usually a 3-speed transmission, and the driver changes gears by punching a button which operates the air shifter.
This is a great camera shot. Green light, we are away. Phillips got away to a beautiful start. He has got this one in the bag easily. So, Phillips in for the win, a 675, 389 kilometres per hour.
670 is a very, very good time. That's close to the best in Australia so far. And Gary Phillips, a good shot there. You see twin parachutes on the cars for safety. Now we have on screen the 3rd type of car in Top Alcohol, and of course this is an altered. The altereds derived from the early days of hot rods, open wheel T-buckets. In reality, the funny cars run a similar chassis, and but with the altereds, they're aerodynamically a lot dirtier as a car. They don't have the swoopy body, but there's a weight penalty allowed for that.
You'll see that the drivers, there you go, Tommy Easton is getting some help from the team. They have people standing in front of them, guiding them, so they're back dead centre of the lane.
Moving into stage now. Again, you'll notice with Top Alcohol, they move the cars into pre-stage, and then the driver brings the revs up to about 6,000 revs. Once both cars are in, we're off the start line.
Jeff Burnett got away to a terrific start. He's getting a little bit loose there, but he's going to do this one easily. So perhaps Tommy Easton running into some problems, but look at the time, a 5:89. 5:89,
the fastest ever for an altered in Australia, and a new national record.
Next up, he has got a solo run. This is Stan Tyndall. It's going to be an easy one for him.
Stan Tyndall, the #1 qualifier. Unfortunately, only 7 cars in the field, so Tyndall will get an easy drive through. He hasn't done a burnout, so one would suspect he's literally going to protect the car. Why waste the engine, use up the clutch and the tyres? He's just going to drive it through and move into the semi-finals of Top Alcohol. Tyndall currently leads the points chase, so every round that goes through adds to that, and he's just going to do a real casual drive through.
That wraps up round 1 for both Pro Stock and Top Alcohol. Before we go to the break, have a look at this unbelievable funny car action.
Ron Athelwood up against Crazy Man Taylor. Now, Crazy Man, watch the left-hand side. He gets right up against the white line of the racetrack, but then all of a sudden it's, whoops, we're off onto the grass, and he's trying to turn the funny car into a plough.
John Taylor, a very nervous moment there. Getting back onto the black stuff and a lucky escape for John Taylor. Well, we'll be back after this. Welcome back to Melbourne's Calder Park Raceway. This is the 97th TAC Drag Racing Nationals, and we're getting ourselves ready for round one of the top door slammers. This first meeting is Lucky Valeri up against Edwin Archibald.
Archibald driving a 1967 Ford Mustang. Big smoky burnout, gets a bit out of shape there. Valeri driving a Holden Commodore. Top door slammer, one of the new additions to the sport of drag racing in Australia. Essentially, it's for sedans, early models for American, and the late model Commodores and Falcons. Edwin Archibald sitting there seems to have a problem. He doesn't look very happy about it. He seems to have broken into burnout, so a solo to Lucky Valeri.
Sigh of relief for Lucky Valeri. He will go through unchallenged into the semi-finals. A good time of 6:85, 313 kilometres per hour. Earlier we spoke to Victor Bray about his world record.
Yeah, June last year at Willowbank Raceway at the Winter Nationals, we took the world record off the Americans. It was a lot of fun doing it. I don't think they took too kindly to it, but it was a lot of fun. It's good to have it in Australia, and yeah, we've actually reset the record twice since, once in Adelaide and once back at Willowbank. And we're looking forward to having another go here this weekend. Weather conditions, world records don't come easy, and they're pretty hard to hang on to. It's like hanging on to a slippery fish.
Well, he's done a pretty good job of it so far. Here he is, Victor Bray, his first round appearance. Top door slammer category, renowned for his burnouts in the 57 Chev. And that one will certainly please the crowd.
Victor not letting us down there. He's up against Tony DeFelice in a 1956 Chevrolet. Victor, of course, driving the 57. DeFelice's car is unique in it's nitrous injected as opposed to mechanically supercharged. Seems to have a problem there. They're pushing the car back, so they seem to have a real problem. Qualified in number 7 position, which was the bottom of the field, but it really is not the standard of car in terms of the nitrous injection as opposed to supercharging that's common in Australia.
So like you've just seen for Lucky Valeri, it's going to be a solo run for Queensland's Victor Bray as well. I'm pretty sure he's still going to give it a shot. Watch the lights. Comes into stage now. Away he goes. Let's watch the time of Victor Bray in the 57 Castrol Chevy. Comes across the line. The time for Victor Bray is 6:51, 349 kilometres per hour.
That's an improvement on his qualifying time. Victor qualifying in the number 3 position, which is most unusual, and the 6:51 there is the low ET for the round so far.
Well, up next is his teammate in the 57 Ford Custom line, also from Queensland, Troy Critchley, and his burnouts are pretty good as well.
Well, Troy qualified in number 2 position with a 6:59. Top door slammer, just a quick rundown. The name of the game is it's a mechanically supercharged engine, the same as top alcohol. The driver must drive from the right-hand side or left-hand side of the car, and it must retain an original body. So that's why they look like the sedans, but they've got the fuel injection and the supercharging of top alcohol.
For the third time in a row, a solo run. Ben Gatt didn't make it to the line to give Troy Critchley a run for his money, and it appears as though we're going to have it again because Peter Kapiris has a bye in this one. So for round one of Top Door Slammer, it's going to be 4 solo runs, and have a look at the burnout from Kapiris.
A huge burnout there from Kapiris. Kapiris qualified in the number 1 position with a 6:55. Huge burnout for him. Again, a solo pass. This is a 1997 Statesman-bodied car. Beautiful looking piece and a good run for his first, a 6:55, which backs up his qualifying time.
Well, quite unbelievable there. 4 solo runs, as we said, for round one of Top Door Slammer. It won't be that way in the semis for sure. And speaking of semi-finals, here is semi-final number 1 of Top Fuel. It is Rochelle Splatt up against the Shell Rocket of Graham Cowan.
Well, based on the performances in the first round of racing here at the 1997 TAC Nationals, this semi-final of Top Fuel should be dramatic. We had 3 cars into 4-second passes. Rochelle has got a combination together. Graham Cowan ran a 4 in the first round, and really, whilst Cowan should be able to pick this one up, it should be a very close race.
You saw how excited the Valvoline Cummins team were when Rochelle Splatt beat Darren DeFilippo in round 1. This is her big chance to really rock the boat up against Graham Cowan, and Cowan will be keen to make a finals appearance here today at the 97 TAC Nationals.
Top Fuel, the modern Top Fuel dragster, of course, produces over 5,000 horsepower. About 500 cubic inches is the engine size. The mixture of fuel is nitromethane, usually around about the 90-95%, with the rest in methanol. A very volatile combination, and the horsepower of these things is just amazing.
Splats into stage. Watch the second yellow light. Now Cowan's in. We're away. Look at this. They were pretty even off the start. Rochelle Splat gets a little bit loose, but she's got it. The girl has done it. Rochelle Splat has beaten Graham Cowan, a 4.94, 455 kilometres per hour.
Well, off the start line here, almost equal off the start line. Great reactions from both of them. Picked the front wheels up for Splat. Cowan was on the number, but you'll notice he has to pedal it. He starts to smoke the tyres. He's off the throttle. Rochelle, very clean flames all the way through. They got the combination, 4.94. She ran a 4.93 in the first round. Boy, is that consistent.
Congratulations, Rochelle Splat. That is unbelievable. She is through into the final. Semi-final number 2. Here he is, the American, Glenn Micris.
Micris up against Jim Reed. Now, Glenn Micris again, 4 seconds in the first round. Jimmy Reed, a 5.0. Reed's really going to have to step up here if he's going to get around Micris. The problem that they have in this sort of racing is the first round was in clear blue skies. Now the track has cooled down, the dense airs come in, so the name of the game in Top Fuel racing is getting the engine horsepower matched to the clutch and the traction. So if they get it wrong, or do what Graham Cowan did, you see he overpowered the track about halfway down the line. So it's a very tricky combination to adjust to the weather conditions, the track conditions, and get that clutch setting right in order to get that car down the racetrack.
Micris coming back into position. Who will be the man to face our female competitor? Australia's best drag racing lady, Rochelle Splat, has got a finals berth. Glenn Micris, Jim Reed, who will it be? They come, get ready, into pre-stage at the moment.
Moving into stage, you notice the crews set the cars up, just roll them in very closely. They're both into pre-stage, then they make sure the computer's set, and away we go.
We are away. Look at that. A reasonably even start. Reed is in problems. So the American Glenn Micris takes out semi-final number 2, a 4.89, 478 kilometres per hour.
4.89, that's a new national record. Micris ran a 4.92 in the first round. Micris sets a new national record. Again, looking at the replay, what happened to Reed is exactly what I said. He overpowered the track. Too much clutch for the combination on the night. Micris, on the other hand, a perfect run. Look at the car move around on the top end, though. New national record, 4.89.
Congratulations to America's Glenn Micris. He moves in to the Top Fuel final up against Australia's Rochelle Splat. He's pretty happy with himself. Let's hear what he has to say.
That was good. That's what we're looking for. We've been struggling a little bit here off and on, but I think we got our game back to where it needs to be, and I think possibly we might take a shot at the 300 next lap now. I mean, there's no giving away. Rochelle, we still have to race her for real. So, I mean, but I think we can repeat. So, I mean, we should be able to run another 480, I hope.
As we get ready to go for a break, we'll leave you with these fantastic pictures inside Peter Russo's 5,000 horsepower funny car as he prepares himself and does a burnout. Pro Stock, and it is Sydney's Joe Polito up against Queensland's John O'Carney.
O'Carney there doing the traditional burnout. The burnouts are done in top gear to get the tyres spinning as fast as possible.
Well, it's a big moment not only for John O'Carney but also for Joe Polito, the defending champion, and at the moment he is the 97 championship points leader.
The thing about Pro Stock, though, is because they are so close and so competitive, we saw 0.2 of a second covering the whole field. driver reaction off the start line in performance is so critical. So someone in number 8 can very easily beat number 1 only because of better reactions.
O'Carney's holding off. Look, he hasn't come into stage. He's now into stage. Away we go. Well, he's red lighted, so that has given Joe Polito an immediate pass into the final. Congratulations to Sydney's Joe Polito. He goes straight through to the Pro Stock final.
Very consistent performance again, 7.92 at 274 kilometres per hour. Polito ran a 7.94 in the first round, so he's got his combination right and a good reaction time from him as well.
Semi-final number 2. Just got a quick glimpse there of Valvoline's Robert Quattrocchi, and here is Rob Tucker.
Quattrocchi was the low ET so far. He ran a 7.90 in the first round. So one would have to say that Quattrocchi seems to have the better horsepower combination here. Tucker, though, is usually very good on the lights. And again, as I come back to, because it's so close, these cars, the driver reactions are really the key to performance some of the time.
Through round 1, we've already seen in semi-final number 1 the games that these guys play on the line. In terms of staging, there we go. We're waiting for Tucker to come into stage. Who's it going to be, Quattrocchi or Tucker? Into the final, away we go. Both off to a good start, but Quattrocchi has got the better. Tucker's coming back at him, but Adelaide's Robert Quattrocchi through to the final.
Good run from Quattrocchi there. A 4.60 light, 7.94 ET. Good combination. Tucker was just way too slow on the lights. Moving now to semi-finals of top alcohol, and Australia's fastest altered, Jeff Burnett, up against the current champion, and of course that is Gary Phillips in the Dragstar.
Gary Phillips has already had a confidence-boosting run in round number 1. Let's see what he can do here in semi-final number 1, up against Jeff Burnett.
Yes, Phillips ran a 6.75 in the first round, which is one of the quickest ever passes in Australian top alcohol history. Jeff Burnett ran a great 5.80, but you would have to say that the drags have a big advantage here. Now you'll notice that the crews spray the front of the blower and the injector hat quite regularly in top alcohol. That's to stop the air freezing up the butterflies so they get stuck, and they actually spray petrol on the front of the butterflies prior to going into stage.
Phillips up against Burnett. Who will it be, the altered or the dragster? Phillips on the far side. Here's Burnett closest to camera. Neither have come into stage yet. What's your second set of yellow lights? Now they're both in fairly equal. Away we go. The dragster got away to a good jump. He looks like he's got it over Burnett. Gary Phillips has done it. Gary Phillips through to the final of top alcohol.
A 5.80 at 371 kilometres per hour. A good run for him, a little slower than before. Now we move into the next semi-final. Stan Tyndall from New South Wales up against Mark Brew.
Tyndall had an easy run in round number 1, if you remember. He had a solo run, so life was made easy for him, but Mark Brew's not about to give him that same favour.
The slight difference here, Mark Brew, you'll notice again the crew spraying the front of the butterflies there so they don't seize up with the, they basically ice up. Mark Brew driving a small block Chev powered, that's a smaller engine combination, and Stan Tyndall, the oldest man in the field, driving a traditional Keith Black powered car.
Waiting for both to come into stage right now. They're holding each other off. Tyndall's in, waiting for Brew. He's in, and we're away. They off to a fairly even start. Oh, Mark Brew getting very out of shape there. He's managed to hang on to it, though, and he's got it by the looks of things. He has.
Brew takes the win with a 5.90. Now, this race was a classic case of the quicker on the lights will take the win. Off the start line, Brew outreacts Stan Tyndall. He runs a 4.1 reaction time, Tyndall a 4.70, and that was the race because, in fact, Tyndall ran a 4.85 and Brew only ran a 4.90. But Brew took the lead off the start line and it was all over.
Well done to Mark Brew. We will see him in the final of the top alcohol. Coming up next, it's semis time for the top door slammers and also some jet car action.
Fallen into the wrong hands.
You're a very funny man.
So am I.
Hostages' lives are at stake.
We're leaving here with the money to dead bodies.
And the only one who can save them is a secretary. Big drama.
Why do men always have to do things the hard way?
Big surprises.
Come on, take your clothes off.
Big sky. 9:30 Tuesday on Channel 10.
Now in exactly 1 minute and 13 seconds, I'm going to drive my go-kart between two carriages of a speeding train. This stunt requires split second. There's a train going past. Why is the train going past now?
Where to go for the big snow? Ski and Shred NZ for 7 days, staying at the very nice Novotel Queenstown from just $899. You get airfares, car hire, a day lift pass, resort accommodation, plus, if you're quick, a pair of cool Quicksilver Sunnies. That's $1,319 value for just $899. Get to the steep and deep first with Guthrie's Pacific. Call now.
Amanda Marshall is the talk of the town. She's Canada's new singing sensation, and the world is catching on.
A great girl from America called Amanda Marshall.
3 big singles: Let It Rain, Birmingham, and Fall from Grace. The hot new album from Amanda Marshall. Get it now at Brash's.
Welcome back to Calder Park at semi-final time for the top door slammers, and this is quite a unique confrontation. Teammates Troy Critchley in the 57 custom line up against his boss, you could say, in Victor Bray, and have a look at the burnouts.
Well, listen to the crowd reaction. There's no doubt about the Castrol team. They're here not only to go fast and to win, but they're also here to put a show on, and that's what Victor Bray is all about.
Bray coming back into position. Troy Critchley earlier this year went for the world record with a passenger in the car. They were unsuccessful, but gave it a reasonable nudge. Let's see what he can do here, all by himself, up against his teammate Victor Bray.
Well, the one thing about the Castrol team is that once again we see there the crew's spraying the front of the blower to make sure that the throttle doesn't stick at all. One thing about the Castrol team is that there are no team orders. It's he that gets there first takes the win. But I'd say the performance should be with Victor. He's run the low ET so far with a 651.
Victor's into stage, green lights, here we go. Critchley got away to a good jump. Bray's a little bit out of shape. Critchley is straight down the line, and he gets there. Troy Critchley, the younger of the two, he gets there and will be in the top door slammer final.
Well, Victor won't be happy about that, but he's got a Castrol car in the final. Obviously had a problem. He was out on Troy initially, but just wasn't able to sustain it and had to shut the car down.
Troy Critchley will be delighted with that. Here we go, semi-final number 2, and have a look at the burnout. We were talking of the big burnouts before. Peter Kapiris and Lucky Baleri really turning it on as well.
That's one of the popular things about Top Door Slammer is they make a lot of smoke, they make a lot of noise. They are recognisable cars. That's a Holden Commodore. You can recognise that, Lee. But the combination of the big Chevys and the late model Australian cars has been very popular. And of course, the smoke and the thunder that comes with the events. Kapiris crew there just checking the car. The crew are vitally important in drag racing because when you think about it, the driver's strapped in there. Most of the time you can only just see directly in front of him. You can't see around the blower hat or the supercharger, so he has to rely on the crew to place him in the right part of the racetrack and make sure everything is okay before he launches off the start line.
Keep in mind all 4 competitors got a solo run in round number 1, so this is their first real challenge. It's Kapiris on the far side, Lucky Baleri closest to screen, waiting for both cars to come into stage. They're in pre-stage at the moment.
Bit of a game going on here now. The boys are sitting and waiting. They're playing the game. But Valeri's in now.
Kapiris, he's in as well. Green lights, we're away. Lucky Baleri up against Peter Kapiris. Kapiris looks like he's got him at the moment, and he has. A good win there to Peter Kapiris.
Well, Capiris is 6:58. He certainly has this car performing very well. Qualified in number 1, ran a 6:55 in the first round and a 6:58 in the second. What a great combination.
So it will be a Peter Capiris, Troy Critchley final as we now take a look at the jet cars.
This is an exhibition show for the fans here. Now, the jet cars are literally that. These cars are powered by Westinghouse J60 jet engines, which are normally found in small commercial jets. They produce pure thrust, so there is no drive to the rear wheels, and the beauty of the jet cars is the fire show. Take a look at this for a spectacular fire show.
If we get another look at it, have a look at the space in the stands behind on the hill, how much they've cleared out. Nobody's there anymore.
What they do here is they actually dump raw fuel into the tailpipe of the jet and the afterburner, and then when they dump the fuel, they actually ignite it and produces the flame and so forth you see. Then, of course, this is what are called burner pops, where they very rapidly fire the burner, the afterburner, and push the car forward. So it's a pure jet exercise here, and these cars travel around Australia and, of course, America, putting on shows wherever they go.
Leland Lee and Chuck Haynes turning it on. Chuck Haynes looks like he got the jump, he got better, but here comes Leland Lee, a close one.
Great show there. Notice the front wheels come off the car of Chuck Haynes's as it went over the top end. They run fairly large parachutes and they pull from the top of the engine. Now at the top there, the tailpipe will be glowing. Off the start line again, light the afterburners. The jets are slower in the first half of the quarter mile than a traditional drag, so they still run 5-second times. They're slower off the quarter mile, but then like most jets, they really accelerate over the top end.
Chuck Haynes rather coming home nice and strong. Leland Lee may have just had his measure. Great jet car action here at Calder Park. When we come back after this break, it's finals time.
Will be. From South Australia, Robert Quattrocchi in the Chev Beretta up against Ford's best, and of course that's Joe Polito. Polito, the current Australian champion. Robert Quattrocchi, currently the quickest on the night so far. He ran a 7.90 in the first round, but Polito really has had the numbers from this Ford combination.
As we were saying earlier, the defending champ, here he is, you're looking at him right now, Joe Polito. Up against Adelaide's Quattrocchi. Polito's in the stage. We're waiting for Robert Quattrocchi. The Panasonic shot. Away we go. Quattrocchi didn't get out quite as good as Polito, and the defending champ is going to stay that way. He will be the champion. Joe Polito wins the final in a time of 7.91, 275 kilometres per hour.
Yes, Polito won off the start line. He picked up the performance and ran a 7.91. That's his best for the night, and a very good win for him. Top qualified and really has dominated the rounds of racing so far.
Moving on, top door slammer final time. Well, a very nervous man would be Peter Capiris, but by the looks of things, he has, as he gets all out of shape in the burnout.
Well, what a burnout that one is. Capiris putting on a show for the fans. What he ran over there is one of the interval timers. Let's have a look at it. All the sparks are actually from the headers, the exhaust pipes. It's rubbing on the exhaust pipes. Really an out-of-shape burnout, and he just gently nudges up against the timing marker. Capiris was due to run up against Castrol's Troy Critchley, but unfortunately Troy has had an engine problem, so Capiris will solo for the win.
Solo run, here he goes. He's still giving it a good shot. He gets out of shape again, hitting down the centre line, but Capiris wins the top door slammer category here at the TAC Nationals, a 6.78, 337 kilometres per hour.
He might be happy, but I don't think the track crew will be very pleased. He's taken out 3 sets of timers along the way. Top alcohol final now. The current Australian champion, Gary Phillips, and he's up against fellow Queenslander, Mark Brew.
Mark Brew, a great run in the semi up against Stan Tyndall. Here's this terrific shot, courtesy of Panasonic, and we get a look at them off the starting line right in front of the Christmas tree. Here is Mark Brew, his big shot up against the quickest man tonight.
Yes, Mark Brew in the small block Chev powered car. Gary Phillips driving a KB combination. The difference here is the Mark Brew car's 388 cubic inches, whereas Gary Phillips is about 430. Slight weight balances to take it into account. Gary Phillips, a very tough competitor, been at the top of top alcohol racing for a long time. Ran a 6.75 in the first round, which was best in Australia so far. But let's see what happens in the final.
Away we go. This is it, the final of top alcohol. Phillips looks like he's got it, and he has, by about a car length over Mark Brew. Well done, Gary Phillips. He wins top alcohol in a 5.74, 387 kilometres per hour.
A great win for Phillips there, and a new national record. Looking off the start line again, fairly close on reactions for both cars. Brew's with him till about third track, and then Phillips just drives away. 6.74, new national record, and the win at the 1997 TAC National.
Fantastic, really, really good. We're happy. The car went really good. Driver did the right job. The crew were fantastic all weekend. This is just a dream. I think we might have to have a drink tonight, but we won't drive because you're a bloody idiot.
A delighted Gary Phillips, and so he should be. What a great win. Well, our final event on the program today, it is Top Fuel final time. Australia's Rochelle Splatt, there she is in the Valvoline Cummins machine, up against America's Glenn Micros.
The most important run of the weekend, the final of Top Fuel. Both of these cars have run 4-second passes during elimination. The trick now is going to be who's got the best combination for the final. It's quite dark, it's quite cold now. The track conditions have changed a bit from the semi-finals. We saw Jimmy Reed overpower the track in the semi-finals. That's the risk here for both of these drivers. The name of the game is making sure they've got the right combinations. And whoever does that right will win the race tonight.
Well, Rochelle Splatt, what a run she's had, downing both Darren DeFilippo and Graham Cowan. Now she comes up against the man who's red hot so far this weekend.
Micros of 4.89 in the semi-finals. That was a great run and set a new national record, but has he got the combination? They'll be trying for a 300-mile-an-hour run. Their risk is overpowering the racetrack.
Waiting for both to come into stage. Splat's in, so too is Micros. Away we go, the Top Fuel final. Rochelle Splatt, she got away quite nicely, but Micros has got it. The American got there. Splatt looked like she had some troubles towards the end, but a 5.007 run, 473 kilometres per hour.
Well, what a great run there from Micros. The Santos Cranes crew very, very happy. Taking a look on replay, you'll see both sets of flames come up together, so they equal reaction times. Micros actually has to pedal the car. He's on and off the throttle, but he had enough power to drive through because at the top end, Rochelle had a mechanical problem.
A great run there for Glenn Micros. That 300-mile-per-hour barrier still remains elusive.
It was actually pretty good, considering it smoked the tires out there, and I pedaled it, and she drove away from me a little bit then, and I got back after her and drove around her. So I guess it just conditions got a little too damp out there for us, and we were trying to run the big numbers, and it almost bit us, but hey, we got the win. That's what we came for.
Well, that wraps it up here at Calder Park. Certainly hope you enjoyed all of the action at the TAC 1997 Australian Drag Nationals. The crowd certainly did, and we hope that you did. Congratulations to all of our champions. They did very, very well. On behalf of Kevin Prendergast, I'm Lee Diffie. Goodbye for now.